Sri Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. Let us offer our most humble obeisances at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Dvaipaya Vyasadeva. Also our most humble obeisances at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and his eternal associates, beginning with Arjuna. Let us also offer our most humble respects to the book, Sri Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, and at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. May they all bless us so that we are able to take to heart these wonderful instructions so that we can go forward in our spiritual practice and life. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we are reading from chapter 11, verse 38, the universal form. Tvam
Tvam
ādi-devaḥ
ādi-devaḥ
puruṣaḥ
puruṣaḥ
purāṇas
purāṇas.
tvam ādi-devaḥ puruṣaḥ purāṇas
Tvam ādi-devaḥ puruṣaḥ purāṇas.
tvam asya
Asya
viśvasya
viśvasya
param
param
nidhānam
nidhānam.
tvam asya viśvasya param nidhānam
Tvam asya viśvasya param nidhānam.
vettāsi
Vettāsi
vedyam
vedyam
cha
cha
param
param
cha
cha
dhāma
dhāma.
vettāsi vedyam cha param cha dhāma
Vettāsi vedyam cha param cha dhāma.
tvayā
Tvayā
tatam
tatam
viśvam
viśvam
ananta-rūpa
ananta-rūpa.
tvayā tatam viśvam ananta-rūpa
Tvayā tatam viśvam ananta-rūpa.
tvam ādi-devaḥ puruṣaḥ purāṇas
Tvam ādi-devaḥ puruṣaḥ purāṇas.
tvam asya viśvasya param nidhānam
Tvam asya viśvasya param nidhānam.
vettāsi vedyam cha param cha dhāma
Vettāsi vedyam cha param cha dhāma.
tvayā tatam viśvam ananta-rūpa
Tvayā tatam viśvam ananta-rūpa.
tvam ādi-devaḥ puruṣaḥ purāṇas
Tvam ādi-devaḥ puruṣaḥ purāṇas.
tvam asya viśvasya param nidhānam
Tvam asya viśvasya param nidhānam.
vettāsi vedyam cha param cha dhāma
Vettāsi vedyam cha param cha dhāma.
tvayā tatam viśvam ananta-rūpa
Tvayā tatam viśvam ananta-rūpa.
tvam ādi-devaḥ puruṣaḥ purāṇas.
tvam ādi-devaḥ puruṣaḥ purāṇas.
Tvam asya viśvasya param nidhānam.
Tvam asya viśvasya param nidhānam.
Vettāsi vedyam cha param cha dhāma.
Vettāsi vedyam param dhāma.
Tvayā tatam viśvam ananta-rūpa.
tvayā tatam viśvam ananta-rūpa. Synonyms. Tvam, you. ādi-devaḥ, the original supreme God. puruṣaḥ, personality. purāṇaḥ, old. Tvam, you. Asya, this. viśvasya, universe. Param, transcendental. nidhānam, refuge. Vettā, knower. Asi, you are. Vedyam cha, and the knowable. Param cha, and transcendental. Dhāma, refuge. Tvayā, by you. Tatam, pervaded. Viśvam, universe. ananta-rūpa, unlimited form. Translation. You are the original personality, the Godhead. You are the only sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You know everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are above the material modes. O limitless form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Everything is resting on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, He is the ultimate rest. Nidhānam means that everything, even the Brahman effulgence, rests on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He is the knower of everything that is happening in this world. And if knowledge has any end, He is the end of all knowledge. Therefore, He is the known and the knowable. He is the object of knowledge because He is all-pervading. Because He is the cause in the spiritual world, He is transcendental. He is also the chief personality in the transcendental world.
Tvam ādi-devaḥ puruṣaḥ purāṇas. Tvamasya viśvasya param nidhānam. Vettāsi vedyam cha param cha dhāma. Tvayā tatam viśvam ananta-rūpam. You are the original personality, the Godhead. You are the only sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You know everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are above the material modes. O limitless form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. So this verse is the reaction and enlightenment that Arjuna had upon seeing the Lord's universal form. Now, this universal form is the only, you are the only sanctuary of this manifested cosmic manifestation. Because outside you there is nothing. Beyond you there is nothing. Nothing exists without your sanction and without being fully dependent on you. Nothing can exist without the Lord's support. So therefore, you are the only sanctuary. It is not a matter of choice that the Lord is the sanctuary. Rather, it is a matter of the absolute truth that the Lord is the sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. Now, Arjuna had very nicely separated these two aspects of the Supreme Lord. The first aspect is that you are the sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. And the second is, you are above the material modes, O limitless form. This whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. So, if there's anything to be known, even in this material world, you are all that is knowable. That means if one goes deeper and deeper, rather than being satisfied with a superficial knowledge of the objects of the senses, the phenomena, this material world is perceived through our senses. Without our senses, it's not possible to perceive or experience this material world. Now, if one does further research, then only what is perceivable by our senses, then we will come to the actual truth of the matter as to who is the sanctuary, who is the resting place, who is pervading this entire universe. And because it is being pervaded by a higher authority, a higher energy, a higher controller, in fact, the highest controller, therefore, it remains in a manifested state as long as you desire. As soon as you withdraw your energy that is all pervasive, then the entire material cosmic creation will be crumbling like a house of cards, finished. Although Lord Shiva is the annihilator and Lord Brahma is the creator, they are able to do so only because they have been empowered by the Lord. Otherwise, on their own strength and ability, it is impossible for them. So in this, Prabhupada brings in another very important factor in the purport. And what is that? Everything is resting on the Supreme Lord, yes, therefore He is the ultimate rest, nidhānam. Even Brahman effulgence rests on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He is the end of all knowledge. If there is a knowledge which ends, that means if one is researching this phenomenal world of objects and wants to find its original source, it will definitely come to rest on the realization that the source is the Supreme Lord. And then, because He is the cause of the spiritual world, therefore He is transcendental. The spiritual world is transcendental, and therefore the one who is the source of this transcendental realm must be transcendental. If the source is not transcendental, how can the product be transcendental? So Arjuna has this realization that actually the only absolute truth, the reality that has to be realized is Krishna. In the material world, the last source of knowledge, the last stage of knowledge, of understanding, is Krishna. Beyond that is only Krishna's multifarious energy. There's nothing more than Krishna. But Krishna alone is the mind, the source of multifarious variegatedness, limitless. The material world will end at some time. The knowledge of the material world will end sometime. But as soon as it ends, wherever it ends, begins the knowledge of transcendence. The mundane ingredients that make up this cosmic manifestation, if one tries to find the source and does a research, thorough research, one will definitely come to understand, realize that it is the Supreme Lord who is all pervasive. Anywhere, everywhere one looks. The example is, you take water from any side of the ocean, it will be salty. Doesn't matter where you begin, on which shore you take water, or in the middle, and down in the depths, wherever, anywhere, it will be always salty. So that is the meaning of being all pervasive. The water of the ocean is pervaded by salt, anywhere and everywhere. Similarly, this material world is pervaded by the Supreme Lord, anywhere and everywhere. So Arjuna realizes this, and then he is concluding, yes, this cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. Wherever we look, you are there. You are the resting place, nidhānam, and not only of this material world, also the spiritual world, nidhānam. So, question and answer session. Let's begin.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One of the verses that we know, param brahm, param dham, patram, paramam bhavan, and the one which you have just discussed, both these says one thing, talks about the transcendence of Lord Krishna. And this all happens after Krishna exhibited his universal form. My question is, what was that element of transcendence in that universal form which made Arjuna say so?
The universal form itself is transcendental. Anything connected with the Supreme Lord. It may be any kind of manifestation. It's transcendental. Even the temporary incarnations of the Lord, like Mohini Murti, is not mundane, transcendental. But it is temporary, not like the other incarnations. Therefore, just because it is temporary and it is the universal form, does not mean that it is not transcendental. If it was not transcendental, then that form had to conform to the limits of duality and three modes of material nature. However, neither three modes of nature, gunas, nor duality, nor time factor had any or slightest influence on the universal form. The Lord manifested the universal form at any time at His will, and He withdrew it also, of course, on the request of Arjuna. Arjuna said, "Oh my Lord, I am feeling extremely fearful seeing this ferocious form of yours. You who are my dear friend, I have never experienced you in this manner, so please go back to your original form." So at will the Lord went back to His original form. That shows that even this form, though temporary, was the controller of material energy. Number one. The other reason was, Krishna said that if you want to see this form, Arjuna, I have to give you transcendental vision. He used the word divyam dadami me chakshu. Pashe. Mai maheshwaram. Divyam dadami me chakshu. I will have to give you transcendental vision so as to enable you to see my universal form. Now, if the universal form was a mundane form and not transcendental, what was the need for Krishna to give Arjuna transcendental vision? You could have seen with these mundane eyes.
Yes. But I'm just asking one question, that whatever Krishna exhibited in that universal form was actually all related to the material world. I'm not denying that it is not universal. It is.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, you see that this is called Leela. This is exactly what Leela means. The Lord is able to exhibit anything and everything anywhere at any time. So, if at all, there's several reasons why the Lord exhibited this form. That is another matter. But the fact that He exhibited this universal form to show everyone that the Lord is able to also manifest a form which is temporary and yet transcendental. So anything connected with the Lord is always divyam and achintya. These two factors are always there. Divyam, transcendental, and achintya, inconceivable. Arjuna, a close friend and associate of the Lord, he could never conceive that the Lord had this murti, this form. He never even thought. It was beyond his conception. So, divyam and achintya. These two factors are all the time present in any of the Lord's manifestations in every incarnation. So therefore, this is an added excellence of the Lord, that he is able to exhibit a form which is temporary and which is unprecedented. He has never exhibited this form to anyone, to anywhere else before this. Or at least we don't know. It is not in this kalpa.
Yes. Yeah, actually, what is to me very remarkable, even though Arjuna was extremely terrified by seeing the universal form of the Lord, still he could make out that the transcendental quality of Krishna in a very short period he could make out.
Yes.
That is very remarkable.
Yes.
And that is the reason probably that he's been called as the best of human being.
Yes. Arjuna is, otherwise, very rarely do we know of another devotee who was served by the Supreme Lord like Arjuna. The kind of service that the Lord rendered is absolutely inconceivable. And that's why in the Bhishma Stuti, as he was lying on the bed of arrows after the Kurukshetra war was over, and Yudhishthir was to ascend the throne, Krishna told him that you go, you learn the art of conducting the kingdom from Bhishma Dev. He's still there because Bhishma Dev has the boon from his mother, blessings of his mother Ganga Devi, to leave his body at will. Nobody can kill him unless he wants to leave his body, only then. So let us go. So at that time they all assembled there. And before that, of course, as he was lying on the bed of arrows, the leadership, the command of the entire army was given to Karna after Bhishma. So then he was the last, Karna. So Karna came and saw that his head was hanging. So they all tried to make it up. Anyhow, to cut a long story short, Arjuna was the only one who could understand with one shaft. His arrows expanded into several arrows and went exactly underneath his head and lifted it up like a pillow. So when the Lord came, he was in so much pain lying on the arrows, but as soon as he saw the Lord, Krishna before him, all his pain simply evaporated. He had felt no more pain. So he was telling the Lord that, my Lord, this is your mystic potency to all your devotees. said the way you have served your devotee, no devotee like me or anyone else can serve you in the same manner. You served him unquestionably. So Arjun was a very special personality, no doubt.
One clarification I need in Bhagavad-gītā chapter 15, verse number 15. That's verse is Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Sannivisto Mata Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. My question is that remembrance and forgetfulness are obviously related. But why knowledge has been interspersed in this whole equation? What is its role? I read the purport by Srila Prabhupada, but still I couldn't really make out.
Well, what did Prabhupada say?
Prabhupada says that since we tend to forget, so Krishna gives us the knowledge by which we remember again. I just really couldn't understand the subtleties of this.
Well, what it means is that remembrance, after all, is of knowledge. Once you have gained some knowledge over anything, to remember it, to retain it and remember it, that also Krishna is giving us the remembrance. And forgetfulness is of also knowledge. You forget, what do you forget? You forget knowledge. So when remembrance comes, when knowledge is given by Krishna, then you remember. What you had forgotten, that you remember again. That is knowledge.
So the knowledge is there to revive the remembrance.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And the new knowledge that one gains is also new knowledge, because it's not that we are carrying with us through all our different births knowledge, which is, it is said that Satchit Ananda, we are also Satchit Ananda. So Chit potency means knowledge potency. So it is there, but it is not realized knowledge. Knowledge is there. It has not yet been realized. It's like the fruit is there, but the fruit is not yet ripe and it cannot be eaten. So similarly, knowledge is there because of the Chit potency, but it is not yet ready to be realized and also be acted upon.
So here, realization means something you absorb, something you can conceive, and at the right time you can reproduce it also. Is that realized knowledge?
Yes, realized knowledge means I know how to apply it. That is realized knowledge.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. You just said that the universal form is transcendental but temporary. And regarding this aspect, I want to ask, the incarnation of Nrsimhadev, for example, is also temporary. Can one say that they are of the same quality then, these incarnations?
No, Nrsimhadev is not temporary. Temporary means that it is a one-time thing. What is the meaning of temporary? Nrsimhadev is actually even there now in the material world, and he appears several times. But the universal form and the Mohini Murti form, which carried the chalice filled with the nectar of immortality to be distributed, which she did amongst the demigods, refusing it to give it to the demons, that murti is also temporary. Now these are some unique features. You see, no one can say that the Lord's incarnations are always eternal and permanent. Nor can anyone say that the Lord only incarnates in a male form. He incarnates in the female form also. So these temporary manifestations or incarnations, they are the extraordinary incarnations of the Supreme Lord. However, as we said, that although it is temporary, and temporary means that it will not, at least in this kalpa, it will not come again. And if it comes in another kalpa, it will be in another form. Because temporary incarnations are always according to time, place, and circumstances. And when the time and place and circumstances change, these temporary forms don't appear anymore. Now, such is not the case with, you took the example of Nrsimhadev, or even example of Vamandev. The Vamandev is still there in the Rasatal. So all these, even Kurma, Matsya, they're all there. So we have to understand this difference between temporary and eternal forms. Now, the eternal form of Nrsimhadev is that only for the purpose of killing Hiranyakashipu, in order to keep all the conditions that Lord Brahma in his blessings on boon to Hiranyakashipu had given, and the Lord kept all these conditions intact. However, this is not the eternal form of the Lord, and therefore Lakshmi Devi could not recognize him. It's not possible that Lakshmi Devi can't recognize her husband, eternal consort she is. However, she refused to come in front of him because she thought, who is this personality? So therefore, the Lord in his Nrsimhadev form never reveals it at any odd time. For a very specific reason, he reveals it. But Prahlad Maharaj could still understand, because Prahlad Maharaj vision was not at all, he was not at all afraid. He was not at all afraid of this this appearance of the Lord. Because he was seeing with the eyes of love, of course. Not that Lakshmi Devi doesn't see with the eyes of love. But her relationship to Nrsimhadev is that of husband and wife. So in a husband and wife relationship, there are certain norms which has to be followed. Of course, later on, Lakshmi Devi also recognized Nishingadev when his anger cooled down, when Lord Nishingadev's anger, as soon as he saw Prahlad Maharaj, his anger vanished immediately. Just by seeing Prahlad Maharaj, immediately his anger vanished and Vatsalya Bhav came up. So these are very subtle, very, very fine subtleties in the Lord's Leela. And to each and every devotee, the Lord's manifestation is different. Just like Krishna, whenever Yashoda Mai sees him, she sees him only as a young, Bala Krishna, age of 4, 5, like that. When Krishna's friends see him, they see him as between the age of 6 and 10, Poganda. Always. Similarly, the gopis see him as Kishore. So this is the Lord's mystic potency, that he is able to change the vision. In the sense, he appears to the vision of the devotees according to their rasa. So to Hiranyakashipu, he appeared as death personified, but not to Prahlad Maharaj. And when Lord Brahma and all the others sent Lakshmi Devi, at that time the Lord's anger had not cooled down as yet. And therefore this Ugra form was still very much manifest. So if she had waited till Prahlad Maharaj appeared on the scene, immediately Nishingadev saw, this is a young boy. I have to immediately withdraw all my ferocious and terrible form. I don't want to scare this young boy. He's a young boy, 5-year-old. Immediately the Vatsalya Bhav, the Vatsalya Rasa, had taken the Lord. And immediately he cooled down. So these are the different mystic powers of the Lord which define the rasa and define his looks, his appearance is also dependent on the rasa.
Thank you, Gurudev. You said that temporary means that it's a one-time thing. So there, Krishna displayed to several devotees his universal form.
No,
were they?
That's not true. He displayed only to Arjuna, and by the blessings of Vyasadeva, Sanjay could see it because he had to describe to Dhritarashtra, but Dhritarashtra couldn't see, he could only hear. And Bhishmadev, he could see. And nobody else. Nobody else. Arjuna was given the divine vision, but Bhishmadev already had that divine vision.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
If others have finished, can I ask?
Yeah.
My question is that while I was reading Bhagavad-gītā explained by Sridhar Maharaj, in the first chapter, verse number 3, he talks about Akshauní Sena. The Pandava had 7 Akshauní. Here he gives up the breakup of Akshauní and it says there were 21,870 chariots, 21,870 elephants, 65,610 horses, and 109,350 foot soldiers. What is striking about all these numbers, I realized while going through, they add it up, it all becomes 9. Is there anything in it?
I don't know. Well, after all, there was only 7 Akshainis and not 9.
Yeah, that is true. But these numbers, 218709, then 65610 is 9, 109350. I suddenly realize all adds up to 9. I don't know. I'm just curious why it is all 9.
Well, I also don't know why it all adds up to 9. But if you want to make something out of it, then certainly the number 9 is Mars. All the new numbers, they have a connection. The numericals take the energy from different planets. So number 9 takes the energy from Mars.
Oh, I don't know. I just asked. Actually, there are 2 more points about it. That there are 11 Akshauní Sena from the Kaurav side, and 7 from Pandavas, all up to 18, and that is also 9.
Yes.
And Mahabharata lasted for 18 days. That is also 9. This is just pure, you can say.
One may say that probably there was a very mystical reason for that.
Could be.
Yes, but this could be, an added interesting factor. However, this will certainly not add to our realization.
Of course. No, I just asked this.
Yeah, no, there has been, nobody has ever commented on this particular aspect. And Sridhar Maharaj also didn't comment on that fact, although he must be also aware of the fact that they were all added up to 9. So,
yeah. It struck me because of one reason, because the numbers were 21870. They could have been 22,000 or 20,000.
yes,
Then I said, what is this? Why it's like that? And then it's all adds up to 9. Anyway, that was a question.
Mm-hmm. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Regarding the universal form, has Vyasadeva seen the same universal form that also Arjuna has seen?
Well, it doesn't say anywhere that he has seen that form. It doesn't say that. But he certainly wrote it. And it's not that important to see that universal form, really. The Lord exhibited this particular form. Srila Prabhupada makes an additional point that Krishna wanted to make sure that any fake incarnation claiming to be God must be able to exhibit a universal form. Only then should anyone accept him as a real incarnation. That point Srila Prabhupada makes in the purport.
Yes. So my thought is, recently I read somewhere, I think it is a book by Sridhar Maharaj. He wrote that Vyasadeva saw the universal form, and I don't know, remember exactly where it was, but what I remember is that Vyasadeva was not at all scared as Arjun was. So this I noticed, and yes, I wonder what is the reason for these different reactions to the universal form.
Each one is an individual, so they are allowed to have their own reaction, isn't it? Should everyone react the same way? Bhishma also didn't react that way. Sanjay also didn't.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Gurudev. Then I have another question regarding a statement from Chaitanya Chandramritam, where the Shyam Sundar form of Krishna is described. It says that this form is simultaneously personal and impersonal. Could you explain this?
Depends on who sees it.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on who sees it. Shyam Sundar, if the form has been described, and if one is imagining this form, but originally he's thinking that the Lord has no form, but he takes a form, and this form is temporary, then it's an impersonal form. Impersonalists think like that. Impersonalists think that all the forms of the Lord are mundane. Maya, a construct of Maya. But to facilitate meditation and worship, connect with Brahman, one imagines a form. But when one becomes Brahman realized, then the form is not necessary anymore. So it depends on who. And in the scriptures, the Lord's form has been described both as personal and impersonal.
The Shyam Sundar form in particular is describing Krishna's original form, isn't it?
To those who are his beloved devotees, yes. Any of these forms, Govinda, Madhav, Shyam Sundar, it's all whichever way you see it. When actually Shyam Sundar is not like it describes his beautiful complexion. It describes his beautiful complexion. But it does not actually have a form like all the other Madhava, Govinda, which have a certain meaning and a personality to it. So, when it is a devotee who is meditating on the Shyam Sundar form, he is meditating on an eternal form of the Lord. But when he is a Brahmavadi, then he is meditating on Shamsundar form as a temporary form.
But still the impersonalist is able to see Krishna's form at some stage.
Who knows what form they see? From the descriptions, they can imagine something. Or they have seen a deity, and because they consider deities to be also temporary, made of whatever material it is made of. And they can imagine that form and they meditate on that form.
So it's not that Krishna reveals himself to the impersonalists like he does it with a bhakta.
Yes.
He appears on the canvas of the heart. This doesn't happen with the impersonalist.
Exactly.
Thank you, Gurudev.
So when Krishna so desires, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada blesses us, we shall get to hear Harikatha very soon again. I thank all of you for your patient hearing. Let us once again now offer our most humble obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Krishna Dvaipaya and Vyasadeva, and at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and all his eternal associates, beginning with Arjuna. Let us also offer our most humble respects to the book, Sri Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, and offer our most humble obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.